Hey everybody, welcome back to the Hen's Tooth Cafe. It's been a while. We're in the kitchen today, breadboarding the Spaceman Sputnik II. I got it out of the box right now. It's sitting over here. It's plugged in. So basically the controls are you have a volume, you have a gain, tone control, and a voltage control for the oscillation. The oscillation you can kick on and off, and get a bypass switch and a foot switch for the oscillation, or as they like to call it, drift. So we're going drifting. So that's the clean sound. I'm using my little solid state piece of shit practice amp. So let's turn this sucker on. Turn the volume. Okay, got the gain turned right down right now. I'll put the filter, as they like to, I think that's what it's called, the filter. No, the calibrate. Sorry. That's what they call the tone control. Now you also have two filter switches. They're 3-position switches, and from what I traced out, the middle position is off, and you have a high filter and a low filter. The up or down positions actually engage other capacitors or RC networks to change the tone. So that's the high filter. And that's the low filter. So I'm just going to leave them off right now. So dial up the gain. So this is all the fuzz part of it is all germanium. They're using 3 germanium Russian transistors. So it doesn't have that silicon edge to it. It's quite pleasing. That's the lead pickup. Play with the calibrate knob. I'll dial that right up. There you can hear the upper frequencies come in a little harder. And if you dial it right down, it doesn't get particularly dark, but just I'd say beefier. Still got ample mid-range. We'll put it back in the middle, thereabouts. Turn the gain right up full. filter there. Let's try the low filter. Now the filter switches are they are useful when you're using just the fuzz, but they play a much bigger role when you get into the drift zone. So the drift, I'm just going to turn the pot right down here. I just turned the drift on, and basically what it is, it's oscillation that you can dial in, and you can have it right on the edge. Back it off a little bit. Now what happens is that it's going to pick up on the audio signal and jump along with it. So there you can hear the difference, that the filter switches are a lot more active or proactive when you're using the drift. Now the pot itself, which controls the voltage for the oscillation, is interactive with the two other controls. And especially so with the gain. So if we turn the two others down, so that's just some of the wackiness that you can get out of it. It gives you a pretty good tonal palette. So now I'll switch over to the breadboard and show you what I got. Now I'm not using Russian germanium transistors. I am using Japanese Matsushitas 2SB 172s. I had a bag of these kicking around, and just been waiting for a project to plunk them in, and I don't know, when I started putting this together, I just opened the drawer and out came the bag, and I went, huh. Threw some on the tester, and they seem to line up pretty close to the gains on the Russian transistors, and I threw them in there, and sure enough, the voltages are pretty darn close. Gonna get a little more noise here because on the breadboard, I mean, I got a giant antenna going on here. And we'll turn the volume down a little bit. So the two SB172s are a little bit crunchier. They got a little more high frequency output than the Russian transistors in the original. The Russian ones, and I found this with a lot of Russian transistors, they always seem to have a little bit of a woolier tonal content to them. So it depends what's going to blow up your skirt. If you want the woolier sound, you can go Russian. You want a little brighter, crisper, more cutting sound, super fuzz-esque, you can go Japanese. So that's just playing with the tone control there. And then I'm just simulating, this is the high filter. It's the high filter switch, and over here the low filter switch. I just gotta line these up. Again, a little more subtle without the drift on, but when you're drifting, that's when it really comes into play. So, speaking of which, without further ado, and my pot seems to be about the same as the original on the position where the oscillation comes in. So what I find is that what I've got on the breadboard right now, it might be accentuated a little bit because of the fact that there's all kinds of signals flying around in here right now. It might be totally different once I get it on a board and into an enclosure. But this is sounding a lot gnarlier with the two SB172s than the unknown Russian transistors, which are, they look you know, they've got the MP20 type casing. So let's play with the filter switch. over onto the other cap. I'm sorry, this thing is really making me smile. It's totally off the hook. So there you go. That's what I've got. One thing that I found is that the germanium diode that's in the drift section of the circuit, you can turn it around. And what happens is that if you want to get to oscillation on the pot, you'll dial it up a little bit higher. But it just has a different character where the decay comes in. So I'll give you an example. I'll just I'll rip a chord here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to flip the diode around. Okay. I'll realign my pot. It just does weirder things at the end, like the tail end of whatever you're playing just reacts differently. So, like I wrote on the schematic, it might be a neat idea, just put a little toggle switch there and have like normal or reversed for the diode, and it'll give you another little palette on the side insofar as noise making is concerned. So, there you go. That's exactly what I got on the schematic. Does the same thing as that. Sounds different. It's got tonal difference, that's for sure. But insofar as the filtering and the drift and all that, it's all got that going on. Play around with different transistors. You can play with your voltages a little bit. There's a couple of trimmers in there. I've got it set up as close as possible to the original. I like it right there. It sounds pretty darn good. And there you go. That's the Spaceman Sputnik II. 1, 2. And that's it from the Hen's Tooth Cafe. Glad you could make it. See you next time.